Hi guys, it's Sally. Thought I would bring you along for my little journal spread today. I dreamt last night about a journal spread. Is that weird? Anyways, so I thought, well, I guess I have to try to do it now, and the details are kind of fuzzy, so I know there was a playing card involved and some music, and it was on a journal page, and that's about all I remember. So anyways, I found a piece of, oh that's even better, a piece of sheet music that I cut down. So that's going to be my background. So that's where I am. This is kind of what I remember from my dream. So I'm not real sure where I'm going to go from here. I know I want to put some color on top of this. So I think I'm going to gesso my pages in my Dylusion journal, get this background music down and get some color on it, and then I'll be back. I'm back. You know how I always say if you don't like it, no problem, you can always paint over it. Well, I didn't paint over it, but I did go back to the drawing board because this probably would have been okay if I hadn't used the dark blue ink on it. When I put it down, it's like, bleh, no. So that's going to go in the scrap pile, and I'll use pieces of it for something else. So what I did for the page background is I just gessoed it, sprayed it with Dylusions Vibrant Turquoise ink spray, and then I stood my book up and sprayed it with a bunch of water with my fine sprayer and let it drip and run down the page. And then I took the hair dryer and kind of moved it around as it was drying. So I like this background. This was the original color of the music that I had on here that I kind of covered all up. So I wanted to bring that back. And then I used a more yellow paper for the background. But I wanted to keep the metal accents. And since rust looks so good with turquoise, I went in my stash from years ago and I found all these little rusted hearts. So I'm going to put those down, and because the card was so vivid, the playing card was so vivid in my dream, I brought back a playing card, but this time I'm using the Joker. And this particular deck, I like the graphic on the Joker cards, so I'm going to mess with this now and see where it takes me and where it wants to go. Let it bend me to its will. And I'll check back with you in a few and we'll see where I'm at. This is what I did. I just took that big sheet that I was going to use for the background and tore pieces to kind of frame the top and bottom of this backer paper. And because I wanted the treble clefs on there. And then I tucked the Joker card underneath this music and cut it off at the edge, and then just glued the hearts down. I found, because that has a hole, it bothers me. I'm kind of anal about that. But I found this little vintage button. I think you can see that. And I thought the red would tie into the red on the playing card, so at the end I will try and get the shank off of there so it sits flat and glue that on there. So I'm going to set that aside for later. And then for the hearts, to get those glued down, I used matte super heavy gel. That worked really well for the playing card as well. And for the paper, I just used regular Liquitex matte medium. So I think I'm going to save this facing page for another day, another project, since this has taken me so long to figure out where to go with it. I'm just kind of making it up as I go along, which is what I usually do, but for some reason it's just taking longer. But I had an idea since rust, as I said before, rust goes so well with this turquoise, I'm going to do a little experiment and mix some cinnamon into some texture paste and scrape it through a stencil kind of over here on this side and see how that looks. I'm trying to create a little bit of a rusty looking texture. So that's where I'm going to go with that, and when I get it laid down, I'll be back and talk about it. I'm back. I like how this turned out, and I'll tell you what I did. I used texture paste. I used the JoSonja brand because that's what I have, and mine is pretty old and pretty sticky. But I put texture paste and then a generous amount of just regular cinnamon out of the kitchen cupboard. I mixed that up, and it was kind of an icky beige color. So I added Deco Arts Metallics in bronze. I mixed that up, and it was a little too orange, so I put in 4 drops of black pearl Deco Arts Metallic, and I got this color, which is pretty close to these hearts. So I mixed it with my silicone spatula, so I just went ahead and put my stencil down and scraped it through with the spatula, which gives me a little bit heavier application than what I would have gotten had I used my metal palette knife. But that's okay, it's just going to take a little longer to dry. And then I kind of like this on here. This was from a boutonniere from my daughter's wedding 4 years ago, and I just saved it. It's been sitting here on the shelf in my studio, and I happened to look up and I thought, oh, you know what, that would be really pretty. However, when I close the book, when I close my journal, it's going to get squished. So I'll probably go back to the red button. But it looks pretty, doesn't it? If it was not going to be closed up in a journal, I would totally use it. So I'm going to go clean up this sticky stencil and cup and spatula. I'm going to let this dry. I'm thinking I might try and just drip some rust down the side of the page, but I'm still in the thinking stages on that one. So not sure if I'll do that or if I'll just leave it. It's coming together though. It did look pretty with the flower, but that's not going to happen. So, okay, I will be back once I sort out where to go next. Okay, here's what I've done. I found some more pieces of this little border that was on this music. So I just cut 3 more pieces and just added those for a little more interest. And then I pulled some of the Dylusions ink. It'll reactivate with water, so I just lifted some on a brush with just plain water and kind of added it to these lighter papers and to the playing card, just to kind of bring everything together. Things were seeming to stand out just a little bit too much as individual pieces. So I think you can see just the slightest tint of that vibrant turquoise, and you can kind of see where I picked it up with my brush off of this page. Now what I'm doing is, and this, we'll see how this works. Black soot and Distress spray stain, and rather than spray it, because I don't want a whole lot of black everywhere, again, this is water reactive, but I'm just going along and putting little bits on this texture paste, and then I'm going to try to use my small spray bottle and just direct the spray to this area. If some of it drips down in between. I don't mind that. That's okay. I just don't want it to go like all over everywhere. So I'm just using the end of the sprayer straw to get the color on there. And then I'm going to cross my fingers and toes and say a little prayer and spray it and see where she goes. And I think I'm going to tip it up. I don't know what I'm going to do. Alright, first I'm going to grab my little spray bottle. I'm going to start at the top. I may not have to, I hope you can see this, I may not have to spray, oh see, it's going to pick up the turquoise too. Well, that's okay, I guess. I'm going to let this run through and then I can see where else I need to activate the black. Oh, that was a big spray. That was a little more than I wanted. Alright, I'm going to give it a little dab here. So we don't lose it all as it travels. Maybe I'll back up a little more. That might be better. Alright, I'm going to get a baby wipe and just blot at that. Actually, I'm going to use a dry paper towel, I think, rather than add more water. I'm going to take some away. I don't want to get it too wet because I'm going to lose all my turquoise from in between there. I could have, and I do this all the time, I forget that those inks will reactivate. And I spray on top, or I use water or something on top that reactivates it, and not necessarily what I wanted to have happen. I did know it was going to happen this time, but I wasn't quite sure. Let me get this, I think I need to be down a little bit. Wasn't quite sure how the black was going to behave. So I could probably dry it and go again because it's a little, I don't know, a little not what I wanted necessarily. I do like the texture that the cinnamon gave to the texture paste. It's a lot more porous than it usually is, or it's got a lot more gritty texture, which makes sense, right? See, that's kind of, that one right there is kind of what I was hoping to get, rather than these lines staying. I guess maybe if I just play with it more with adding more water and moving it, I can kind of get what I'm going for. This is pretty wet. I'm going to carry more of that watered black around the rest of the outside of the page now, so it all looks like the same page. I kind of like the watery, I'm watering this down quite a bit. I like the watery look with the turquoise. It just is kind of mixed and pretty. Like that. I'm going to do the same thing along the bottom of this card. Come on to it a little bit at the bottom here. I'm just dabbing the spray off of the heart itself. And just deepen those a little bit and call it done. Keep getting right on it. I don't really want to do that, but that's okay. To dry more. I want to add words, but I'm at this point not real sure what words I want to add, so I think I'm going to just call it done for now. If I add anything, I'll probably just put something up here and down here. I'm not sure. I may just leave it alone. I did do another page. Oh, they're sticking together. I did this page yesterday, and I like the way it turned out. It's gotten so cold, and I saw these little pictures of these little kids all bundled up with hats and winter coats and everything, and then I came across the picture of the robin, and it's like, yeah, let's go south with the birds. Because I'm in northern Ohio right against Lake Erie and it's cold here. So I did that yesterday. So I thought I would share that with you too. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel for regularly posted videos on mixed media and acrylic painting and art journaling. Go make some art. Bye.